Welcome to another session of Khoj Gurbani. We are in the middle of, we've started Asa Ki Vaar, and we are now today going to actually do the fifth Pauri, starting with the Salok Kadiyan Sabe Gopiyan. Hanji Gurjit Singh Veer ji, I've been told that you have to leave early, so I'm reaching out to you to take about 10 minutes maximum to walk us through the Saloks and the Pauri. Um, you have 10 minutes.
ठीक है जी जी तो लेट्स वाहिगुरु जी का खालसा वाहिगुरु जी की फतेह
Where'd you cut to it?
हाँ जी श्लोक महला पहला घड़ियां सबे गोपियां पहर कन गोपाल गहने पौन पानी बैसंतर चंद सूरज अवतार सगली धरती माल तन वर्तन सर्व जंजाल नानक मुस्सै ज्ञान बिहुणी खाए गया जमकाल. So as per my understanding and as per the, if you look through Gurbani, the word Gopiya is for all those souls who are here in Pavsagar, and through different incarnations they are all progressing their journey towards Sukh Sagar. So if we accept the hukam, we are progressing. If we don't accept the hukam, we are standstill, or maybe even backwards. In all other 84 million, whatever Junis have been said, the jeev is within the hukam. He doesn't go. It's only the human beings who has a tendency to go, although he can't go. So throughout our journey, all our wisdom has been slowly promoted by the hukam. And the wisdom is not by itself, it has two more elements to it, Kan and Gopal. Kan is referred as Krishna, which is negative consciousness, and Gopal is our positive consciousness. So this is also said either, Rove Ram Nikala Paya, Sita Lakshman Bichhad Gaya. So here, instead of Sita Lakshman, we have same entities. We have two male entities, one female. Female is the wisdom in the center. One male as a Ram, and Lakshman is as a negative consciousness. So this is how the whole Pauri designs that we have been progressing through all the lives before, and there are two elements which are like our left and right arms. Gehne Pon Pani Besantar is our outer body, which is made up of, which runs through these elements. Uh, the body is made of water and it runs by air, and there is also temperature within the body. And within that, now the left and right arms are Chand, is our mind. It doesn't have its own light. But Suraj is the Chit, which has its own light. The Man gets its light from Suraj. This is the whole process, even in the outside world. Sagli Tarti Maltan Vartan Sarv Janjal. The whole earth is been provided for us to progress spiritually. But there is somehow we are not doing it. We are much more involved in the world, and that is nothing but Vartan Sarv Janjal. When Sukhmani they say Bhagat Jana ki Vartan Naam, we came here to do the trading in Naam, but we are doing much more trading in all these insentient entities. That is the Janjal, which is a web we have, uh, webbing around us. We are making a web around us, which is putting us in more confusion. Nanak Musse Gyan Bihuni, the whole problem is that we are lack of spiritual wisdom is putting us through that sort of ideology. And Gyan Bihuni is that the Atam Gyan, the Brahm Gyan, Khai Gya Jamkal will again be instead of progressing, we are rather shrinking our wisdom, and that is done through the Param or Jamkal. Then he says, Vayanchele, the problem is that the religion is not being preached properly. At Guru Nanak's time, Vayanchele, Nachangur, there was a people who will come to preach religion, Parahilan fair, and said they used to dance, Udurava Chate Pave, because it was just everywhere was not, it's a concrete surface or anything. So whenever they're dancing, there used to be a lot of dust falling basically on their bodies and hair. Vikhen log hase kar jaye, and people will laugh on it that, oh, this is what they're preaching is not up to the mark, or they are not understanding what the whole game is. Rotiyan karan puren thal. They are only doing it not for the sake that someone get um, mukti, but they are doing it just because they think it's a business and they are getting some money out of it. These are activities. What they used to sing is Goavan Gopiyan Gavan Khan. There has been stories constructed about Krishna Ram and all this outside world, Ram Leela, Krishna Leela. If you go around in Diwali time, there's Ram Leela. If you go around Janmashtami time, there's Krishna Leela. They put the garbs on them and then they try to show that, that's how what happened. But they have totally forgotten Nirpo Nirankar Sachnam. That's what they should have been telling. Nirpo is nothing but Puran Brahm. When the Puran Brahm is in its full form, it has this Nirankar state, and then it has a Sachnam with him. And as a Parbrahm, it has created the whole world. Sevak Sevak Karam Chadao. All the servants want to achieve Chaddi Kala after doing the seva of their mool, and that's how it is done. Sikhi Sikhya Guru Vichar. The Sikhi is nothing but the Vichar of Gurbani. The more you go, the more your mind gets cleaned. Nadri Karam Lagaye Par, and then if you do Gur Vichar, then the Nadri, the Hukam, will do Bakshish on you and you will go outside the Pavsagar. Otherwise, if you're not doing, then there are examples that all these things have a center. There is axle and the things are going around. The axle is our soul, and the outer body, which we are taking different incarnations, is all this. You can say the different forms which we are taking, like Kolu Charka Chakki Chak means. In the end, he says, Nanak Paundiya Gantanant. We have been here for who knows how many incarnations. Bandhan Bandh Pavave Soe, because we are not getting rid of the problems of our mind. The mind is much more entangled in Maya. We need to pull him out. Whatever we think, we are acting like that. Nach nach hase chale se roy. We are all doing this. When we have to leave, we all don't want to. We want just to stay here forever. Udna jai siddhna hoy. You can't escape from the Pav Sagar through any flight or any siddhi. Nachan kudan manka cho. The Nanak is basically telling that Jin Nanak Jinman Pao, whosoever has attained the Pao has obtained the love for God. So that is only understood through Guru Vichar. Then the Pauri, now Tera Nirankar hai. He is telling the Jeev that you are Nirankar yourself. Na laye nark na jaye, but you need to get your own spiritual knowledge through Guru Vichar. If you take that knowledge, which is nothing but your own self knowledge, then you can basically escape this. Geo Pind Savtisda de Khajya Gawai. The Mool has created this Geo and also the Pind, and whatever we get, we should be satisfied. If we ask for more, we are losing Santokh Je Lode Changa Apna. If you want that the Sachkhand says good things about you, Kari Punno Punno Hunda Dubara repeat Karna. You think over it again that you have to stay within the Hukam. You can't try to overrun the Hukam. Je Jarvana Parhare. Jarvana is our mind. If you control your mind, this is very powerful mind. Jarves Krendi, it's better to control it because the old age is coming quickly and anytime, doesn't matter you live in old, but the day we were born, we are approaching death. If you have attained the full knowledge of yourself, then you are complete. Like when the bucket is full within a well, it is pulled out. But if it is not full, we just keep on putting it and try to attain the maximum. So when the Jeev attains the Puranta, Puran he leaves the Pav Sagar. So that's my understanding. Ji, Vaheguru Ji ka Khalsa. Vaheguru Ji ki Fateh.
Vijay Gurjit Singh ji, thank you very much for the exposition. That was a perspective from Gurjit Singh Veer ji, and he has likened Gopiya to the inner sort of senses of the inner mind, or the soul, as he has said. That is one way of looking at it. Uh, and I would just like to sort of reach out to all of you uh, for your perspectives. But before I do that, I just want to frame this discussion because I think when we engage with scripture, there is obviously various levels and layers of interpretation that happen, and from the literal to the antriv pav, as they say, the inner essence of what is being said. And so you heard one perspective there, from an inner perspective. That is the perspective where the assumption is that we are talking about the formless, the nirakar, the inner world. um, what I would also like to suggest, or at least offer, is that there is always an external context as well. And I would like for you to look for continuity or a theme that may be running through this. And I have detected that there is, at least in the first five Pauris, there is a theme. And we'll come back to that. But let me go to Dilpreet Singh first. Dilpreet, do you want to share your perspective?
Anji Virji, I can try. I can share my perspective.
Sure.
So I would like to start from the Pauri first, okay?
Okay.
Because the way I think is that Pauri sets the context, and these shloks will help us in explaining the Pauri further.
Any which way you want to.
Right. So it says that now tera nirankar hai, nae laiye narak na paiye. So this sets the context that your name, again, name and hukam, or your laws, or his presence, everything is used synonymously in Gurbani, is your definition. And that is who you are. That's what I am taking from that. That defines you, and that is who you are. And geopind sab tisda dekhaji ah gawai. Again, it is setting the context, okay, that this is what you are. And now geopind, that you are only the giver here. So nobody else is the giver. So it is setting that context that you are the provider and you have everything and we will get everything from you. Je lode changa apna. So now Karpuno needs to die. And this is also setting that being in Hukam or now will provide us the real happiness, because so now it is setting the context that again that geo, that you are only the giver. So again I want to make a point that you own everything and you are only the giver. So now there is another concept of, okay, which is explained when we go to the power. The way I am seeing is the way the religion was being practiced is transactional, okay, and people were getting, the whole practice of religion is that we want to get something out of turn. And then this body and these shaloks are setting up the context that, okay, we will not get things out of turn. So it is setting that context that hukam is there and we have to be in hukam, and the only way out here is that we have to accept and work hard to get what we want. So there are no shortcuts, so system cannot be bypassed here. So now if we go to the first one, the first slok, the way I was taking the first slok was, let
Kadiyan
me go.
sabe gopiyan,
Right.
Pehar
So
kan
this is
Gopal.
right. So the way I was taking that, this is the way Guruji is defining what we call Maya Jal, that okay, this is a play and this traps us. So this is a kind of a trap. He's giving the definition of that trap, and then he's explaining the only way out is the correct knowledge of the truth. Otherwise, we will sink in this trap, or we will never come out of this trap. So that is how I was taking this salok, that it is the definition of the trap, that yes, there is a trap here which we call a maya jal, and the only way to come out of this trap is नानक मुझसे ज्ञान विहोणी खाए गया जम जाल. So otherwise we will sink in maya. The only way to come out is the real knowledge. And then in next body he is giving us the definition of religion further, okay. Why and chille nache gur. So this is he's defining that how the religious practices were there at that time, that they don't know, or they are practiced without the knowledge of such or the truth or the creator, and religion is only practice for daily living or only for food. So their way, why they are preaching religion, is that there is that way, that is what their earning is. So just to make their living, they are preaching religion without the real knowledge. And then in the middle, Guruji is explaining that Nirpao, Nirankar, Sach Nam. So this is what he is explaining again, the guns, that okay, you are Nirpao, means you are not scared of anybody. Nirankar, that okay, there is you are formless. So he is explaining his features, and the only way is the real knowledge which will get us into the peace. So, and then he's saying that this is what Guru will teach us. And again, I want to stress a little bit on the Nadari Karam Langaye Par, right? So, Nadar is that his grace, okay? But the way I take this is that the hukam is the system, that if we practice Guru's teaching, or if we practice the real teachings in our life, day to day life, then this nadar is going to happen. This is also a hukam. So this is also his hukam, that the only way to get the nadar is that we have to practice the real teachings in our life. So that is how I take this nadar, because the nadar is not something that it will happen, but the way I see this is that it will automatically happen if we practice this in our day to day life, and that is also his hukam. And then at the end, he is saying that okay, otherwise, if we don't do this, everybody is doing their daily routine. So we are following the daily routine. And if we keep doing that, what we are doing round and round, we will go in circles and circles, and we will not come out of this. And then he is also saying that the love inside us will only be created or only be born if we are aware of him. That means if we are aware of the hukam, and if we practice the teaching, and if we work in hukam, then only this love, the real love, will be generated between us, and which is the way of life again. So thank you ji.
Thank you, Dilpreet, for your insight. Ikukarji, coming to you next.
Waheguru Ji Ka Khalsa, Waheguru Ji Ki Fateh. I haven't really taken time to study these verses. I'm really a lot in listening mode.
Okay.
But two things that kind of struck me was the phrase Nirbaho Nirinkar, that line.
Mm-hmm.
You know, I mean, I think it's fascinating how, I mean, this kind of sums up Guru Nanak's whole mission, is all you guys who are teaching about religion are doing it for the wrong reasons. And you're teaching fear to people, and that religion is teaching fear in form. This is the form, this is the way, and if you don't follow it, this is the terrible consequence. And then, you know, Guru Nanak's enlightenment experience was all about, no, that's just a lie, and it's the biggest lie that people are living under. The thing that's supposed to liberate people is enslaving them the worst. And I love this phrase, Nirbo Nirinkar Sachanam, you know, like the true identity that you're seeking is actually beyond any form, and there isn't any reason to feel fear, whether it's the God in the whole creation or the God inside of you. I'm not going to get into that right now, but that phrase really struck me. And then the other phrase about love towards the end of the verse, Nanak Jinnah Manpao, Dinamanpao. And you know, one of the things that I love about Gurmukhi is because I approach it as a poet as much as anything else, and the poetry is really fascinating because the word for fear is bo, and the word for love is Baal, and fear is constricted love, and the sounds embody that, like on just a poetic sound level. Love is an expanded vowel sound, and fear is the constricted vowel sound. And that what we're trying to do is go from fear to love, that's the journey the mind has to take. Ultimately, it's, can you go from fear to love? And what Guru Nanak, I think, acknowledges so beautifully is that the mind is going to fear. You know, it is natural for the mind to fear, but if you direct that fear as a kind of respect and awe, you know, like towards the divine, like we fear each other, we fear death, we fear going hungry, we fear being homeless, we fear all these things. And then, you know, we're baited with religion to say, well, if you just believe these things and do these things and practice these rituals, these things that you're afraid of won't come to pass. I mean, you know, whatever. I'm just sort of being casual tonight.
Yes.
And
Okay.
and so, you know, the reality is that if you can acknowledge that there is a creator who's just giving, whatever you have is being given to you, and it's all within a particular, and there's a journey and a purpose to it, even if you don't understand it, then the mind starts to become afraid or in awe or respectful of the giver. And what Guru Nanak is saying is that as the mind becomes trained to recognize everything as coming from the giver and be in respect and awe of that giver, then actually it will eventually relax into the state of love. And it's that state of love that we want to get to grow and evolve, not a particular practice or ritual or a particular Veda or a particular perspective. So those were the two lines that struck me as I was listening to my brother's talk, and those are my thoughts.
Thank you. We'll come back to you. Chetandeep, do you want to chime in here?
Hanji Veer ji, Vaheguru ji ka Khalsa, Vaheguru ji ki
Fateh.
So the way I see it, if I look at the Paudis covered so far from Paudi number 1 to 5, as you pointed out, it seems there is a theme running. And when I try to connect the dots that are there, I see that Guru Sahib has spoken about creation, Sajyo, and Upay, and Vismad, Kudrat. Then he spoke about Nanak Ji Upay in the second Paudi. And then he spoke about the natural order, this pair and nirpao. And then in the Paudi third, he said, Man andha janam gavaya, like the mind was blind and could not see. And in the last Paudi, he said, by seeing, nadar kareje apni, by seeing you get the Satguru, or by being aware of the reality, what is, you see the Satguru and he's the one that's going to connect you. Or the Satguru, it's gender neutral, but I'm just using the word he. So the point being, in this Paudi, the context continues in my mind that you are here to see the Sadguru around you, that you were blind, you could not see, but the time is now. He's saying, don't delay it. There is no better time than now. And this I get from the Paudi's last line, Ko rahe na parye paiye. And the way I translate that line is that you have got a limited time and nobody's going to remain here forever. And this is your time to realize, to see every moment you have is the moment you are losing, that go and do what I've told you to do. Now tera nirankar hai, like go and take the naam or do the things that I've told you to do, but don't waste these moments that are there. So that's the context. And further elaborating in Salok number 1 and 2, he's saying that I have created everything around you for your consumption. The first salok could actually be taken both inside and out and outwardly. As you pointed out, there are layers and we get through each layer. I mean, even if taken both inwards or outwards, what I understand is that even I have been created, or the earth around me and stuff around me has been created for my consumption or for my use, and he's saying that use it wisely, like gyan vihuni, like use that wisdom, use those things to realize the Satgur around you. And especially in this next salok, he's kind of pointing out the things that were then prevalent. But as I see it, is like all the activities we do on a daily basis. I think last week someone said social media or basically getting distracted from what we are supposed to do. All these wine chele nachan gur, udud rava chate pae, vikhe log hase kar jaye, rotiya karan pure tal, the tanda that we do, or TV or time, or just taking life for granted in our daily, like, as if we are going to live here forever, and we just indulge ourselves in the life or the things that he has created for us. I take this body as like he's giving examples of all those things that we let our mind get distracted at rather than doing the things that we are supposed to do. And what I really find fascinating is in the slok, the second slok, the usage or the poetry or the usage of the words that he has used. Every word, kolu, charkha, chakki, varole, like everything spins or rotates. And just the sheer putting them together, and in the end saying Nanak Pondya Gansnan, he's counted all these things and said they are all going around and round and round. And in the end, he has come to my mind saying, you are doing the same thing. Bandhan bandh pavaye soe. The bandhan of home is doing the same thing to you. You are going round and round and round. When I was a small kid, I was going round and round due to different things. Now I've grown up. I'm still going around the block. I'm still going around and round for different things. But fear, anxiety, insecurity, not recognizing, and just being in that cycle or merry-go-round, the way he has put all these examples and then coming to my mind, is saying bandhan bandh pavaye soe. Like, like, and this is something that has inspired me or changed my life in last few days when I have been reading this body. Now, whenever I get into this cycle of fear or anxiety or worry or conflict, this pankti just comes to my head and tells me bandhan bandh pavaye. So I'm again going round and round, and this is nothing else. And that gives me a perspective that tells me, okay, it's the same. I'm just doing the same thing over and over, and I mean, I wish I could come out of it. Uh, I think that's all I have to add.
Okay. Thank you, Chetandeep. I have to confess that um, my reflection, I'm going to take a few minutes, if I may, if you will indulge me, is remarkably similar to what Chetandeep has just said. But I, like him, is absolutely mesmerized by the poetry here. You know, Kolu charkha chakki chak thal varole bahut anand latu madaniya anga. Just singing this is enough to transport you into another realm. And like you, Chetandeep, I've been singing this the past couple of days. It is just marvelous. But if I may, the way I have approached this is very similar to Chetandeep. So some of this might be repetitive to you, but like him, I asked myself the same question. Am I detecting a theme here? Is there a connection? Because I think we need to understand context, and meaning emerges out of context. So I was saying, what sort of theme has been running here so far? And like Chetandeep, I mean, I think the first thing that struck me was that he's talking about a particular knowledge, gyan. I mean, that seems to be hitting every body that we've come through so far. Not empirical knowledge, obviously, but clearly this is a reference to Nam, which comes only with gyan. right? So there's Gyan Padarat and Nam Padarat, and one is dependent on the other, even though they happen to sort of simultaneously in my mind. The second thing that we've noticed is that he's talked a great deal about creation and our place in it. So, with that context, I started to reflect on Kadiya Sabe Gopiya. I, like a lot of other people, also felt, that this has inner symbolism as well as Gurbani does. But which meaning would I prefer? Would I prefer Gopiya as representative of the inner senses, or would I prefer Gopiya as unit of time? Is he talking about time? Because it seems to me that he's talking about creation, he's talking about a play, and a play is time bound. And he's talking about us, bandhan band pavai, so meaning that we are going round and round. And the thought that came to my mind was that he's not only talking about time as in chronos, but also the Greek notion of kairos, which is timing. So this is the time, and this is also the timing. And in Gurbani, timing refers to Ausar. Ehi teri bariya, ehi tera Ausar, ehi teri bariya. I can't remember the exact pankti. But it speaks not of clock time, but it speaks of the timing, the opportunity. So I preferred to take this to mean that um, that this is the dance of time that is happening in this universe. Time is swirling around, and it is symbolized by the orbiting of the planets, and the all of these things that he refers to, that appear in nature, that appear. He talks about chakki, which is the wheat stone grinding round and round. But again, like you, Ekunkarji, what caught my mind was the very first word that caught my mind was Vartan Sarab Janjal. Having said that, look, Sagli Tarti Mal Dan, meaning that the earth has been presented to you as a resource. This is your resource, use it wisely. So Vartan Sarv Janjal. To me, Vartan is very important because everything centers around how we are going to use it. Vartan means usage, right? So, how are we using this resource that is being given to us? And Sarab Janjal, Janjal to me reads, chains being bound. What is being said here is that, look, the way you use this resource is going to determine whether you get caught in it or whether you can free yourself from it. And obviously we get caught, we get carried away with an earthly existence, we get caught up in the rat race and so on. And then again he comes to Nanak Musa Gyan Vihoni. He's again talking about knowledge, right? And again talks about Jamkal, meaning time. Time will eventually destroy you, and so you will suffer the tyranny of time over and over and over again. And then Nirbhav Nirankar Sachanam, Jaka Kiya Sagal Jahan, Sikhi Sikhya Gur Vichar. Again, he's emphasizing knowledge and Nadar. And to Dilpreet's point, Nadar and Hukam and Naam, they happen simultaneously as far as I'm concerned. As this knowledge grows inside of you, as you develop to a higher consciousness, another comes with it. It is not something that is sequential. It's not something you're waiting on. It just will happen at the same time. So I had these thoughts. I wanted to share them because I felt if I wait any longer, I'll forget them. So thank you for your indulgence. Hey, Ripudaman, I see you there. Do you want to chime in?
Uh, yeah, I can try. First of all, thank you, everyone. When I started actually to read this Pauri and the Sloks, I found it extremely tough. Unfortunately, I could make very little sense, understanding, get little understanding out of it. So, yeah, I could not appreciate the poetry. I could not understand the meaning. So, this session
Let
really
me
has
ask
helped.
you, did you ever grow up in India?
Oh, yes, I grew up in India. I actually had Punjabi till 10th grade. So,
Okay.
despite that,
All right. Okay.
despite that, I
It's
could
okay.
not.
No problem. I
Yeah,
just was curious. I mean, if you.
yeah. The so I did get the gist of the parties. Funny when I focus on individual lines, I got lost. But when I just focused on the overall sloks and the Pauri, the meaning is pretty much what almost everybody explained, both the external and the inner meanings. So from that perspective, that's great. But where I got lost was the individual lines, right? A lot of the word meanings were not clear, and so, for example, Kadiye Sabbe Gopiyan, Peher Khan Gopal. So, Kadiya, does it refer to actually moments of time, or does it actually refer to shaping, your Gopiyan, if it's yourself or whatever it is, right? So, and that is still a big question, right? What does it actually mean out there?
Can I
So,
just stop you for a second because I'll
yes,
lose my train of thought?
yeah,
So, if you recall, we talked about taking both the inner and the outer perspective on these lines, right?
yep,
So it depends on which perspective you're taking. If you're taking Gurjeet Singh Virji's perspective, then Karya is to shape. But if
yeah,
you take the outer perspective, which I am taking, then Karya is a watch. It's a unit of time, right? And Peher is also a unit of time. So
yes,
to me, it depends on which perspective you want. Either is equally satisfying as far as I'm concerned. But here, in this context, because I did if you look at Karya in other contexts, refers to time. So that was one reason I preferred to take that. And the other, obviously, was what are the first four parties talking about here? There seems to be a theme. So I prefer, not that the other is not right, but I prefer to take the outer perspective. And for me, then, Kari becomes, as we say, a watch. It's a unit of time.
yeah,
And a Peher is a unit of time. A Kari is roughly 20 minutes, I believe, 22 minutes. And a Peher is about 3 hours, so
yeah.
that's how it goes. Yeah. So it depends on the perspective. But sorry, I
Exactly.
didn't mean to
So,
interrupt
and
you.
the if it was the internal meaning, then what does peher mean in that context? So, those questions obviously pop up. In the second shalok, it starts with wine chele, and obviously, then it's clear that it's a critique of the externalization of religion, all the negative practices, so to speak, and it goes on till it reaches the point when it says Gavan Gopiya Gavan Khan, then it says Gavan Sita Raje Ram, and then that's where I could not figure out whether it is a positive or a negative statement. Even right now, I'm not sure. When I looked at translations, also, one translation says that they sing of the milkmaids and they sing of the Krishnas, and the other one says, basically. Sita and Ram जीते हो राजियां they sang basically even Sita's also sing of the praise of the Lord, so it's a different connotation. So uh, it's so I don't know how to interpret that either, so but then okay, you leave that aside, but then it says Nirbhav Nirankar Sach Naam. So now obviously it has changed, the tone has changed, and now we are addressing the formless, and the message has changed, and Jaka Kiya Sagal Jahan, and then it talks about Sevak Seva Karam Chadao. So now it's a message applied to the servants of the Lord, right? Whether yourself or the a Parabram, whichever connotation you want to take. Then it goes on to say Kolu Charkha Chakki Chak Thal Varolo Bahut Anant and all that. Now I'm again confused. Is this a positive sense or a negative sense? Right now, is this actually saying that, oh, you are actually doing all of these actions and these are all literally nonsensical actions that will not help you at all, because you're going round and round in circles? Or this is now actually saying that, okay, you are playing you accept that you're playing a part that uh, a role that has been assigned to you, and you are centered around Parbrahm, or the truth that is the center of all of these, right? So because everything is going around the center, right? And the
Okay.
center is the truth. So I don't know. So I'm confused
No,
because
no, you raised some very good questions. So, if you don't mind, in the interest of time, let me turn to the others to address some of the very excellent questions that you've raised. So, let's do that if that's okay with you. I mean,
sure,
unless you have something else to add, I think this will make for a great conversation.
sure.
So, let me go back in the order I came. So, Dilpreet, do you want to quickly address what Ripudaman has just raised?
I see this that going round and round is that repeating the things which we are doing and without realizing the hukam and without doing the service to humanity or without doing good to the others and help others. Just if we keep doing things for our benefits, that's what I see is going round and round. And once we understand the truth, then we will not be harming others for our benefits. So that way we will come out from going round and round and we will go in sequential path. So that's how I say it. Thank you.
Okay, thank you, Dilpreet. Egunkarji, do you want to address Ripudaman's points, especially the metaphor of a circle? Because I think that's a very important point, as a metaphor, because there's a lot said about circling and the whole idea of the gopis circling Krishna, in the Ras Leela. It's a very fascinating movement. One is clockwise, the other is counterclockwise, and so on. So I would like to hear your thought on that.
No, honestly, I don't know that I have much to contribute on this point.
Okay, all right. Well, turn to Chetandeep.
Hanji Virji, I actually had a very similar question to what Ripudaman Virji had. And before I raise that question, I would like to comment on what the circular movement or what he said is the question he asked, is this a negative or a positive connotation? So specifically to going round and round and all the examples that we have seen, Olu, Charkha and Latu Madania, I think in the end he summarized everything and said it very clearly, bandhan band pavaye soe, so that our mind or my mind, it's in bandhan, and the bandhan is home hi bandhana. So in my mind, he is very clearly said we are going round and round, and Homeda Bandhan, it is clearly Bandhan Bandh Pavai Soe. And then in Sid Ghosh, he says, Kya Paviye Sach Sucha Hoye. So he is very clearly said he, by doing this movement or by Pavai, nothing is going to happen. Like that is clearly a negative connotation for me. But the question I had, similar to what he asked, is like in this body, I see a pattern. The body starts by listing some things as negative, at least first 6, 7 lines, like Vayanchil and Nachangur, that have clearly a negative connotation. And then in the middle, it is a positive direction that he has given, Nirpo Nirankar Sachnam. And then starting from Kolu Chakha Chakki Jak, again it's a negative connotation. So have we seen such patterns somewhere else in Gurbani, like such sloks or pauris or shabads, where like negative patterns have come? The reason I see this as a pattern, let's see, in Japji Sahib, Patala Patal, Lak Agasa Agas. So the word Lak, he has used one, but it applies both to Patala Patal and Agasa Agas. Right? So it's a pattern. So I see this is a pattern. So have we seen similar patterns somewhere else in Gurbani?
So, do you have anything else to add?
So
Nahin, nahin,
so
nahin. That's
so
all.
Okay,
so,
so
so
if I may, Ripudaman, do you want to say something?
yeah,
I just wanted to
actually,
comment on this.
the Bandhan Band Pawai Soeka, actually, if if you give me a chance, I want to comment on that. After somebody comments on that pattern.
Yeah,
So
well, I mean, I just wanted to talk about circling here.
yeah,
So, there is a lot of symbolism around the circle, right? It A circle represents totality. It represents like wholeness. original, perfection. And the circle, the circle represents God actually, or Akal Purakh, because he's the center of everything. But you can't figure out where the circumference is. So I think in my mind, there is no negative or positive, because all of those things that are doing, the wheatstone grinding, the top spinning, the dust storms kicking up that he's referring to, these are obviously things that he observed in his daily life, right? I don't think there's a negative connotative, a positive connotation. The connotation is that you really have to center yourself around this God who's the center of everything, regardless of what you're doing. Because when you get, let's say, for because we use language, let's say that you've acquired Nam, that is not going to stop you from doing your daily stuff. I mean, you'll still be making a living. You'll still be going to work. You might be, somebody who runs a flour mill. You'll be doing the same things. The matter is, where's your mind centered? That's how I'm seeing that. Let me. Okay, so we are left with about 5 minutes. And I think, Ripudaman, what Chetandeep said and what Gurjeet Singh Virji said, and perhaps what I suggested, is all centering of the mind around Akal Purakh. Then you will stop sort of this. I think you will still be going around, but you'll be going around the center, the true center. But anyhow, let me just do the last run. Chetandeep Singh, let's start with you. Closing remarks.
I've been just thinking about this discussion about Bandhan and Pavaiye. So I heard everybody, and just on this, I think you said circle represents totality or perfectionism, but circle also represents that we started from a point and we spent our whole life and came back to the same point. We didn't progress at all. We didn't go anywhere. So, and that's what Bandhan Banpavaiso is for me. That and the like, I'm just going around in that formula. Bandhan. So it's a merry-go-round for me.
Chetandeep, so
No,
what
hold
does
on, hold on,
soy mean
Ripudaman.
out here?
Hey, hello, hold on. Let him finish. Let me
Sorry.
come to you.
I think Virja, that's what I wanted to say.
Okay, all right, Ripudaman, go ahead.
No, actually, I had a question for Chetandeep only on this line. Bandhan Bandh Pavai Soy. What does soy mean here, Chetandeep?
Soy, I think it refers to the like soy as in referring to somebody that. If I would translate it, like Bandhan.
So the idea is, who's that? That is really yourself, as far as I'm concerned.
So I was interpreting it as soy as in Parbrahm. So Bandhan Bandh Pavai Soy as in like.
Okay, Ripudaman, we need to take these offline because I want to give everyone a chance before 10 o'clock.
Okay,
Right. So
that's
we can come back to that. Ekonkarji, final thoughts. Okay, she's not there. Dilpreet Singh.
Right. The final thought is the last line of the Pauri is that it is a symbolism that we are getting old, but we cannot avoid that. So, and it starts with the hukam. So, only the last thought is that there is no way out, or we cannot bypass the hukam. There are no shortcuts here. So, we have to go through this implementation and then the realization. So, we have to follow the process, and there are no shortcuts. I think that is the symbolism of that. Thank you.
Ekonkarji, are you back?
Oh yeah, I was just having trouble finding the unmute button when you asked me.
Okay. All right. Final thought on the discussion. Any pointers?
The whole piece around these resources have been given to you to grow to evolve and mindful of what you do with them is so powerful. And it's partly, I think, because I'm going through this big midlife transition right now and becoming super aware of how, limited ultimately the time here is. And am I being as respectful as I can with my own life or with my interactions with other people? So it was really powerful for me to just hear that tonight.
Thank you. So, in conclusion, thank you, everybody. I think we heard several different perspectives, and yet I think we were hearing the same thing. I think the perspectives are not radically opposed to each other. To me, they sound like different sides of the same coin. So, with that said, we will continue to reflect on this. And good, it's 10 o'clock. Thank you very much to everyone. Waheguru Ji Ka Khalsa, Waheguru Ji Ki Fateh.